All right, here we are. Oh man, it's late, but I'm gonna thug through this podcast because I said I would try to do at least one a day. Because I plan to release one once a week. So this where the work comes in. Okay. Uh, what I want to talk about today. Oh, number one, this is Judas Hammer from Judas Plus. Don't let your ears betray you. Since I've been out in Los Angeles, I've met a number of people. Do I stay in contact? Not really. So here's what I've surmised. The closer you live to the valley or Hollywood, the more you're willing to find people who want to do some stuff, you know. Like this podcast, I've asked like 3 or 4 people if they want to come on and just talk. They just talk. It's a mobile podcast. I can move everything to a coffee shop near them. And I get excuses over and over and over again. And I get just made up like stories. Like they owe me a long explanation or sob story. But what it is, once people move to the fringes of LA, they're kind of out of the game. No. They're just really here for the sunshine and the everyday party. Because here's the truthful facts about the Los Angeles area. And I see that having little technical problems. You can do something every day. There's always something happening. There's always a club, always a bar, always a event. There's always a special attraction, tourist attraction, the beach, the mountains, Hollywood, downtown LA. There is always something to do. From Sunday to Sunday, you can find something to do. Is that the case in most cities? No. Most of America, with the exception of New York City, is boring. It's just boring as marshmallows frying in the sun. It's boring. That's why so many people want to come here. That goes back to this point. Meet these people, and they say they want to get into the industry on some level. They're liars. And here's what I found out. There are 2 types of people in this world. There are workers and there are bosses. Workers just want to work. They just want to do a 9 to 5, get paid, drink, meet people, have sex if they can. I mean, that's not a guarantee for everyone. And that's it. They may tell you they have aspirations of this. Oh, I want to write a book because people say I should write a book because my life is exciting. Which, I don't know. I don't know if that's really true. Because when I meet them, they're not that exciting. I mean, if they understand the whole literary technique to what makes a story exciting or interesting, they they don't want that life. That life comes with a lot of loss. Nobody wants to read a book about what you almost did. I remember this dude I went to high school with. He's a musician. Like corny guy, just a corny dude. I guess he's a trumpet player. I don't think he's famous, but he's professional. So he's getting paid for what he loves. So on Facebook one day, he writes a story about staring at Phyllis Hyman. That's all the story was about, basically. He stared at Phyllis Hyman. He feels he should have said something, but he didn't. And I'm like, this dude, that's what I'm saying. Nowadays, we're a land of narcissists. We think our lives are so important. We think we're so great. You're not. You're 19, 20 years old, and you stared at Phyllis Hyman. That's not a story, Holmes. A story is, I talked to Phyllis Hyman. I risked everything and approached her. That's the story. That's where the story begins. I was like, this is not a story. This is you talking about a quasi regret. I mean, do you even like girls? I mean, in your younger 20s, that's when you're supposed to make your mistakes. Get fired from that job. Talk to that celebrity. Have sex with no protection. Drink. Ballroom. Dance. Fight. Swim with sharks in the dark. That's excitement, my friend. Not you stared at a, I guess, semi-famous R&B singer from the 80s. I mean, most people don't even know who Phyllis Hyman is. But this is this dude. He's just a goofy guy, man. So this is what he thinks is exciting. And you know what the truth is? Most of you think your lives are like that exciting. That's not exciting. That doesn't entertain people. People like to hear about loss, suffering, death, going broke and coming back, having nothing, being in the hospital, almost dying. Look at your movies. Just look at the whole way a movie is constructed. How many movies are about a 19-year-old trumpet player staring at a semi-famous R&B singer who goes on to commit suicide? You know, God bless the dead. Not mocking her. I don't make fun of that. But that's the exciting part of the story. And I guess in some way, in his small mind, in his, I don't know, just delusional existence, he thought if he would have said something, it might have changed life. No, man, no. She would have dismissed you. She would have said something nice to you. And that would have been it. That's the only edit to the story. That's not a story. And that's not most of your stories. Most of you live very boring lives. You don't want excitement. Excitement comes with a cost. Excitement has a price tag. That's why there's amusement parks. People want excitement, but tame, safe excitement. That's not realistic. So you pay $30, go to an amusement park, and you get a taste of excitement, an endorphin rush. You know, I mean, that's why most people do drugs, the hard ones. That you're hanging on the edge, baby. Anything can happen. Let's go a few steps back. Most people live delusional lives and have very sort of superfluous, superfluous. I'm a moron. It's late. Most people look at themselves like that Simpson episode when Homer looks at himself in the mirror with his shirt off. And in the mirror, he looks like a muscular guy, but in reality, it's just regular Homer Simpson. You're regular Homer Simpson. Like you're trying to pull a fast one. Like you're not who I'm seeing. You're exactly who I'm seeing, probably worse. So when you give these people opportunities, like, hey, be on my podcast, or hey, be in my short film, or hey, you got a short story? Throw it in my anthology. You have a talent? Add it to what I'm doing. We'll work as a team. It's a communal effort. That's what life is about, being communal, man. The old man in the sea. I mean, you see how that story ends. So, you offer these people an opportunity, but somehow either what you're doing is not big enough for them, delusional. They're too big for you, delusional. Or the reality of it is they're scared. They're scared they're not good enough. Because you know what? The world does not care about talent. It's perseverance. It's aggressiveness. It's hunger. I hate to say it, it's fearlessness. And I don't even have all the fearlessness that I should. I've got some hard hits. I've had some disappointments, recent disappointments, So these people talk to you and they say they want this and they want that. No, they don't. You just want the delusional aspect. You don't want to put the work in because the reason you're where you're at is because you're a worker. And that's what you are. Nothing wrong with that. Accept that. Accept being a worker. But don't try to step into the boss arena. Because not every boss makes it. But at least you tried. At least you took hold of what you think you could do and you tried your very best. Sometimes life doesn't give you what you want. Sometimes you get passed over, but you tried. You went down swinging, So that's why you meet these people. And I've met, maybe close to 100 people I've met who say they want to do this, say they want to do that. And you don't want anything from them but a small amount of their time. And they bullshit you. See, it's not even the actors and the people trying to get into the entertainment business who are the bullshitters. It's everybody else around them, man. It's like swimming in a sewer, For every one person who is coming out here sacrificing themselves with dedication and hunger, you have 100 who are actors in their own reality show. Their own, in their head. They're semi-crazy. Like your story is not exciting. You don't want your story to be cinematic. Look at these stories. Just watch a movie that you like, and try to own that movie. Try to make that movie into real life terms. Put yourself in the protagonist and just see. Could you do Goodwill Hunting? Could you be a janitor? And just one day step up and be like, okay, forget this. But could you be a janitor? Could you? I mean, could you be a janitor? It's a job, it's a hard-working job, but it's a humbling job. How many people can be humble? When I was 18 years old, I was a janitor at Toys R Us, and they wouldn't let me be the stock person. That's all I wanted to do is be a stock person. They lied and said, "No, we don't have any stock jobs. All we have is just maintenance position." So I was cleaning floors and stuff like that, and still stocking, because when I felt I was stocking, I felt like I wasn't a maintenance person. But I was a maintenance person, honestly, who was stocking. But there's different components, man. I don't know, us young dude, the world puts us in places and categories. They want to keep us. People are conditioned to think you can only do a certain kind of job, and that's it. Man, that's why I got out of New Jersey and never looked back. And dread every time I've ever had to come home. So, that's the way things are, man. Just wanted to say that, get it off my head, get it off. Most people who you meet are workers. They want to be workers because being a boss is too much responsibility. It's too much of a risk. Everybody just wants a safe job and a safe home, even a safe relationship. Safe. And then complain when it's boring. Hey, that's none of my concern about your boring life. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to go get some libations. And the second part of this, because I think I've talked enough about bosses and workers. Well, what else can I say? You got bosses, you got workers. And you know what you are and who you are. And you know where you are. You only set the limitations in your own brain. Nobody can limit you. People can stop you. Look, nobody offers me any opportunities. None. Nobody's ever asked me to come on to a movie, write a book with them, make a podcast with them, come on stage with them, make a movie with them. Everybody I've worked with, like the writing partner I had. And that's another thing you'll meet out here. People who are too ambitious. They're just riding along so they can stab you in the back. They do the minimum amount and they ride you out and hope you lead them to success. And they got the sword already sharpened. These are people you gotta watch out for too. They lack talent, they lack desire, they lack hustle. But what they don't lack is deceit. They're cunning people. They're liars. They're opportunistic. And the only thing they're thinking about is what they're going to do with the money they make off of your back. And that's the real business. But you meet those people on a lower level, like sharks, but little sharks, because the real man eaters are at a bigger level. When you meet them, you're facing a leviathan. But you get hooked on by one of these, those little sucker parasite fish that hang on to sharks. Yeah, you meet a lot of those. No talent, no anything. Don't even believe in themselves. They just hitch their little cart to your wagon, and then they want to drive the buggy. Delusion. We're in a land of delusion. Delusional narcissists. Anyway, let me go get this libation before this store closes. I'll be talking about police next. Okay, so this is two parts: workers and bosses and the police. But it's not going to be what you think. It's not going to be what you suspect. Okay? So hang in there. Let me find the stop button. Okay, well, something I was thinking about, I like to talk about. You know, the police in this country, man. It's my keys. That liquor store was closed, man. That's crazy. So, all right, let's do this over. I mean, police have been getting a bad rap. Don't get me wrong. I ran into a couple overzealous police officers in my life. I remember being in Tampa, Florida, and I was in a McDonald's in college, and I was, I'd been drinking, but there's a place that people go after the college parties, and they, talk, congregate. So I remember I was in McDonald's, and I tell this cop, he tells me, he walks over, separates me from everybody else, and he says, "Hey man, you need to lower your voice. You need to talk lower." I said, "Okay, cool." So he left, and I said, "Anyway, like I was saying, you know, because I felt he kind of singled me out. It's the mind of a 20-year-old. I was a kid." So he comes over, he says, "Yo, you need to leave McDonald's now." So these are my exact words. "Come on, let's go. Officer Goldie is mad." Because this police officer had a mouthful of gold teeth. I guess in Florida, that's regular. So walking outside, going to my friend's car, he puts handcuffs on me. My friend says, "No, it's cool. I'll take him home." And he grabs for his gun. Okay? So he puts me in back of the police car, takes me down to Orient Road, and I spend the night in prison or jail. Okay, so, and that was a black cop. That was a black cop from the projects of Tampa, Florida. I think his name is Officer Golden. So all this stuff about white cops being racist and Latino cops being racist, come on. My worst experience in my life was with a black cop. A dirty black cop from Tampa, Florida, who gets off on harassing college kids. But I mean, that never gets mentioned. So that's the worst experience I've had with a police officer. That's where I've seen the law get twisted. So this picture they want to paint about the angry white male crew cut cop. Come on, man. You saw that to somebody else. I mean, that cop in Florida is horrible. He's horrible. Well, that's not, and then we went in front of the judge, because the police and the judges work together. Judge Dominguez, I'll never forget Judge Dominguez. I brought a witness. The cop started stuttering and lying, and I played no contest. But I mean, so that's your enemy. I mean, most police officers, well, he's probably mad because he's standing in McDonald's. Probably wasn't a very good police officer. Or he's lazy, or why are you in McDonald's? Honestly. You're just trying to pick up that overtime pay. So much stuff to do, and you're in a McDonald's with college students. you know, hey, it's whatever. You're a glorified security guard. It's like I obeyed everything that he said. I didn't not obey it. But when he walked over the first time, he said, I'm gonna take this guy down for whatever reason he had. I don't know his mind. I just know what he did. That's what I'm saying. Who your enemy really is. But beyond that, that's my worst experience. We need police. Not that kind of police. I mean, not, any police department who, hires people with gold teeth in their mouth. I mean, I don't know. That's saying already. But most police officers are decent guys and girls. They're good people. It's a hard job. It's an incredibly hard job. But it's necessary. Am I defending all cops? No. Do police officers need me to defend them? No. They don't need me. They don't. In the end, they're people just like us. We have a civilian police force in this country. It's civilian. Now, I've gotten into arguments with overzealous police officers online. They say they're paramilitary. No. Maybe SWAT. Maybe special units. But your average beat cop is a civilian cop. You're not paramilitary. No, you're not. You're paramilitary when you're kicking down the door of a trap house, maybe. But you're not paramilitary. That they want it to be that. They want it to be military. Because the military is a whole different ball game. When I was in Italy, I went to Rome when I was 18 years old. They don't have police. Their police are like security guards. It's the army, troop carriers, people with military uniforms and M16s. That's their police. That's how they get down. And Italy's not really it used to be a fascist country. I don't know. I think it's quasi-communist, maybe. It's a little different. But in Rome, they don't play. I know American police officers have sort of military grade weapons now. But back in the 80s, Italy already had that. Europe already had that. So we need our civilian police force. Because without it, it's the military. It goes deep, which is good. We have a number of laws in this country that must be obeyed for us to be a civilized nation. You go to other countries, it's chaos, it's chaotic. It's like something out of a Three Stooges movie. The traffic, just the way people live. The street I'm on is nice and quiet, no problems. Laws. America has a set of laws that must be enforced. And it's for the best of us, all of us. Laws that are backed up by our Constitution, laws that are made by the people we elect and put in office. Some of those people are crooked and they twist the laws in their favor, but as Americans, we have the right to know what laws are being voted on or brought up. It's up to us to sit there and see if it's important. Which is more important, YouTube or the new law they're about to pass in city council that might have your neighborhood gentrified. Now, they're not going to announce it. You have to keep your ear to the ground. Without a police force, you have the military. Military comes curfews. Military comes martial law. And they're always trying to slip that seed into your mind. They. Who is they? I'm going to talk about they later on. I know people are already going to say they. Who is they? All I got to say is that you respect the law, you respect your country. You disrespect the law, you're disrespecting the country. And you can't win against the law. Police officers are the physical embodiment of the law. The law must be enforced. That's what that gun is for. They're going to enforce that law that was voted for and backed by the Constitution and the Supreme Court with their life. Okay? It's law enforcement. That's what police do. Everybody thinks police ought to serve and protect. No. That's to make you feel easier. It's law enforcement. Our civilian police is supposed to enforce the law. That's it. And if you get rid of all the police in that city, then another police force will come in. And then the army, then whatever it takes. This country is designed that you're not going to beat the law. I mean, in some delusional sense, you can watch a movie and think you can get over, but no. Law enforcement. So when you stop looking at police officers as these civil servants that are here to help you, like security guards who took an oath, then maybe less trouble will start happening. Because they're to enforce the law. If you broke a law, they're there to enforce it, even if you didn't break the law. At that point, their job is to enforce the law. It's law enforcement. And it really boils down to how you handle the situation. If you get emotional, it could take an emotional turn. If you handle it business, it's just as business as usual. Because here's the thing. In this country, we break laws every day. Every day we're breaking a law. Laws you don't even know. But law enforcement does know. So it's very easy for a police officer to arrest you for a minor infraction. Many times, many police officers don't arrest you because paperwork. Tons and tons of paperwork. And that paperwork gets thrown up in front of the DA or the assistant DA. And if they don't feel like prosecuting that case, then they're like, why are you filling the docket with all this BS? So the bigger the city, the more crime in that city, the more ample opportunity for you to get off of a charge. Small towns, they're probably gonna nail you because they got nothing else to do. They're going to do the paperwork because they're bored. A city like Long Beach, I don't know, it's whoever you catch. You catch a young cop, fresh out of the academy, got something to prove. Yeah, they're probably going to do the paperwork. Older cop, towards the end of the shift, probably let you go. It's all up to your attitude. As far as you want to push it, they can push it. And let me tell you something. If you think you know the law better than them, you don't. You can know the law just as good as them, but at the end of the day, they can tell you, sir, that's enough. That sentence in itself, sir, that's enough. Okay, there's knowing the letter of the law, and there's knowing how to implement that law. Don't you understand? They have been doing this job for a long time. They can easily manipulate you into breaking a law if you're going to mess with them. Easy. Yeah, there's the old, hey, call your supervisor. Well, that's their boss. They work together. Come on. You're just stalling for time. And maybe you might find a supervisor who's cool. Most times it's somebody from the same office or the same precinct. For example, I'll tell you a story. One time, me and this guy from Philadelphia, big, goofy, mean though, he was mean. Mean, like big, fat, sturdy. He looked like a big potato. For some reason, this guy called me up. He knew I like to do video work. He said, hey man, I got the new camera and I want you to come check it out. So he's in North Long Beach. So we hop in his car. We ride, get some coffee in Paramount. Then we go to the Exxon processing plant. So he has the camera out and he's pointing the camera at the processing plant. And I'm just following along. I don't even know why this guy is doing this. I mean, it's very antagonistic. So it's almost like he's looking for trouble. So I'm sitting there and like, okay, I'm just here to see what's on the other side of the camera. This camera is pretty cool. I just want to check it out. So we're sitting there, and out from the refinery comes this security guard, tall, sturdy Latino man, mustache, good security guard. Comes out, looks at us and says, "Hey, you guys." Looks at us and says, "Hey, you guys are being recorded. So what are you doing here?" And the guy says that's none of your business. This is public property. Security guard gets in, rides away. Now, I already know the police have been called. I already know that, and they're coming. So he looks at me. Now he's a tough guy. Now he's a coward. He says, what do we do? I said, there's nothing we can do. We stay here. You hop in a car. They're going to catch us around the corner. At least right here, we're in front of these cameras. So everything's being recorded. Because the security guard came out and said, hey, you're being recorded. So we're being recorded. So the police can only do so much. So we're sitting there. We're outside waiting for the police. So they come. Okay, the first police officer was a taller, like muscular, Southeast Asian officer Khan. He was cool guy, tall, handsome dude. Gets out of the car. But when I saw the next officer, I knew that we were in trouble. He had dark sunglasses. He's about 5'9", just short Caucasian police officer. And he got out of the car with an attitude. Sean Penn colors. Pac-Man. He was Pac-Man. So he gets out, and the first thing he says is, get your hands away from your pockets. Get your hands away from your pockets. First thing he says, get your hands away from your pockets. Let me see some ID. So I'm not happy. I'm not mean, but you could tell by my face, this is not a pleasurable moment. So we give him the ID. He says, "What are you guys doing out here?" Now the dude, the big potato head, he's like, "Oh man, we're out here taking pictures." And the cop says, "Well, why are you taking pictures?" And I forget what happened. Now, it's not selective amnesia, but I forget how me and the one cop got into it. But for some reason, then it got down to he wanted to search me. And I said, "Yeah, it's cool. You can search me. But afterwards, I want your number. And I want a card. So, yeah, you can search me." So he searched me. Put my hands behind my back. He was short, so he had to stand on top of a hill. Okay. So the next words out of his mouth were, he whispered in my ear. He said, "Spread your legs." So I said, "I have a bad knee," which I really did have a bad knee. He said, "Spread your legs or I'll dump you." And I said, "Man, I have a bad leg, man. Bad knee." So all of a sudden, he frisks me and everything. Then I said, "Hey, you know what, buddy? Do me a favor. Go ahead, call up your supervisor. Go ahead, call him up. Just call up your supervisor." So he says, "Man," because my license said Van Nuys. Van Nuys is LA. He said, "Man, this ain't LA. This is Long Beach." He said it just like that. Like he was some kind of gangster. Officer Hart. HART. So we're waiting, and he's telling all the stuff he could do to us. And once he says, "I could take your equipment," the big tough guy from Philly starts crying and breaks. "Oh man, see? Oh man, see what you did? Oh, you big bitch. Just shut up and ride this out." So one of the cruisers comes up and hops out this diesel African American gentleman with blonde hair. And he talked very proper, very muscular guy, very friendly, but his eyes said, "I'll take you down hard." Like he's still on the other police officer's side. He's not on your side. He's law enforcement. Like I said before, the job is to enforce the law. That's it. If you're on the other side of the law, then you are the enemy of the law, and it's their job to take you down, to enforce the law. But we hadn't broken the law yet. And that's what I knew, that no law had been broken. And that's why I did what I did. So anyway, he comes over and he says, he looks into the camera. He says, "Okay, well," he asks us, and I'm nice. When the supervisor comes, I'm nice as honey. I'm "Yes, sir," "No, sir," "Yes, sir," and listening to everything he says. He could have said, "Do a handstand," and I would have done a handstand. See, once you call the supervisor, you have to turn down the attitude. You have to turn down the trouble. You have to be super respectful, because now your fate is in his hands or her hands. So you have to put on a show. And so anyway, he comes. He says, "There's no problem." Okay, well, let him go. So he leaves, gets back into his truck. So I'm laughing. I start laughing. And this cop is mad. Officer Hart. And he's stomping on the hill. He's mad. He said, "Man, you think you're funny? See, I'd have seize all your equipment. I'd have take it all. So I look at Officer Khan and I said, "Hey, man, call your supervisor back. See, you have that right. Unless you're talking to the supervisor, you have that right to call the supervisor." So I called it. So Officer Khan gets mad at Officer Hart. He's like, "Come on, man. Sarge said to let him go." Boom. They're broken. They're divided. Got him. See the big fat potato head, the big Philly tough guy, the big soft guy who wanted to videotape an exile plant, wanted to be a rebel, a halfway rebel, especially being from Philly. Philly are a pile of fake thugs. Anyway, so he's up there crying. Got him divided. Sergeant comes back. He says, "What's the problem?" Because I knew Officer Hart just by his demeanor and how he approached us. He did not like being told what to do by the blonde-haired African-American sergeant. He didn't feel like he had to listen for some reason. I sensed it. He had some kind of hostility. So the officer comes back, the sergeant comes back, and he, "Hey, what's the problem here?" I'm like, "Officer, this gentleman will not let us go. He said he's going to seize our material. He's going to seize our equipment." "I don't know. No, we're just trying to go home." So then the sergeant looks into the camera one more time. He says, "No, it's okay." So he raises his tone, his voice, and he goes, "Let them go." Gets back into the truck, drives off. I smile, I laugh, I won. But I played the game good. But here's the thing, I'd been harassed and frisked and abused before. So I learned from experience, you know. Know your rights. Don't know the law. Know your rights. And you still have to be professional. You still have to be nice. You still have to be civil. They could have found something to take us down. Anyway, we packed up the camera equipment. We got inside the car. And this fat, stupid, but I don't even know if he's really from Philly. I think he was a cop himself, a Fed. Why are you going to videotape a oil field? And why do you have me there at Exxon processing plant right after 9/11? Like, why do you have me there? I thought it was a setup to begin with. Go deeper. It's a story called Death Wish that I wrote. And it talks about it. It's a deeper story. It goes way deeper than this. Maybe I'll tell it one day. The FBI got involved over this one incident, So we get inside the car and he tells me, "Hey man, you gotta act like sheep. We gotta act like sheep in wolf's clothing." And I was just like, yeah, whatever, man. I don't like arguing with people when they're driving. So I was like, yeah, man, whatever. This dude was some kind of, he came off later on like he was some kind of anarchist, Native American rebellion group, undercover against the government. But I honestly think he was a Fed. I honestly think he was a Fed to set people up. He must have looked at me and thought I was a clown, That's a story where, hey, I dodged a bullet only because I knew how to play. I knew how to play the game. You got to sense the situation. You got to, it's chess, man. It's chess, but they got a gun. That's why if you come out the gate with respect and professionalism, a little bit of humility, you get by it. If I'd have cussed out that sergeant, I was done. If I'd have told those 3 police officers, "Hey, I know the law," I'm done. You take your one shot at Officer Hart. One shot. That's the one that you want. Officer Khan didn't do anything to me. The other officer didn't. One bad cop. How can I get him? In the end, I won. I won because he couldn't take the equipment. I won because he couldn't take me down. But how did I win? Humility. A lesson I learned from the Officer Goldie in Tampa. Humility. If I would have handled that situation more humble, if I'd have known, hey, I need the sergeant here. Why are you arresting me? All these questions I could have asked. But he took advantage of that. I was young. That'll never happen again. Your best education in law enforcement will be that one bad police officer. They will be your college. So don't look at every experience with the police as a negative one. If you're alive, you're okay. But now, it's time to go to school. And that doesn't work all the time. Once the supervisor comes and he tells you to do something, game's off, game's over. That's it. Argument's done. Now you have to comply. Now the law has spoken. Police officers are the physical embodiment of the law. Sorry my voice is dragged. I'm just a little sleepy, but I really want to, for some reason, get this podcast across. I don't even know if it's a really good one. I don't know. But as human beings, we don't like to be told what to do. I didn't really respect what police officers did, and this is going to sound crazy. Don't judge me. It was until I became a security guard. People do not like being told no. They don't like being told what to do. People do not like laws. They don't. We're broken creatures. I mean, in the basic instructions before leaving the earth, one of the greatest novels ever written, greatest books, basic instructions before leaving the earth. All the big man asked those crazy kids not to do was eat that apple off that tree, the tree of knowledge. He said the law was don't eat that apple. The snake came up, went to the girl. Oh, he didn't mean that. He meant this. One rule. They just had to follow one rule. So that just tells you that's where we come from. We come from disobedience. We're a disobedient species. In the basic instructions before leaving the earth, if you read that first 8 chapters, maybe 9 chapters, I think some places it's called the Torah. Man, the old school Jews, they were breaking laws left and right. And the big man in the sky was like, when's enough going to be enough? So that's what I'm saying. Being a security guard, you're just enforcing the rules of the establishment. Or just telling somebody to get out of a fire lane, or don't smoke here, don't do that. Out of 10 people, about 7 will be cool. About 3 are going to give you a hard time. I mean, security guards are not cops at all. But it's just people who have to tell other people what to do. People do not like being told what to do. They don't. And the more privileged, the more resistance you will face. So after that, I don't give police officers any more problems. Your whole goal in life should be not to see law enforcement. If you don't see law enforcement, then you're living a good life. If you're constantly seeing law enforcement, that's not the cop's fault. That's you. You are living wild. You're disobeying the very laws that are protecting us. For example, if you ride the Blue Line or the A train in LA from Long Beach to 7th and Metro, you will be happy there are police officers. Be happy we have police. Be happy we have people willing to put their lives on the line to protect us from the neighborhoods I have to pass through and those people on the train. The only thing that is stopping a criminal from running up in your house right now is the threat of being arrested by law enforcement or killed. I mean, there are some countries where the cops aren't going to help you. In El Salvador, cops aren't going to help you. Mexico, cops aren't going to help you. You got to do it yourself. Sometimes you got to worry about the cops more than the criminals. And like I said, some countries have the army. A crime gets done, you got to wait for the army to get there. So we're blessed. We live in a great country, man. We live in a great country because we have laws and we have men and women that protect those laws. Yeah, we have bad cops, but you know what? We got bad firemen, bad teachers, bad cashiers at McDonald's, bad personal trainers, bad blah, blah, blah. The human, like you're human. So when you step outside to face law enforcement pulls your car over, just remember, you are not dealing with somebody who's there to serve and protect you. Yes, that's the residue from law enforcement. Once you get that through your head, that they're there to enforce the law, and you are potentially breaking the law, then that should change your whole frame of mind. Because many times, if our mind is already in a positive place, we won't have a problem. It's when you get those demonic whisperings, oh man, who does that cop think they are? Man, you watch so much Law and Order. Tell them about the law. Tell them about that episode. Clink, clink. Men's Central Holding. 48 hours. You can be held 48 hours. Just to let you know. If you break the law and they bring you down, they can hold you 48 hours for an investigation. So, do you want to go home? Fight your ticket later? Or do you want 48 hours in Men's Central Holding? So, here's what you want. Anyway, this is Judas Hammer. Hope you enjoyed. Sorry my voice is a little tired, man. Sometimes the energy's there, sometimes it's not.